Happy Sunday, everyone. It is Sharla Kornegay coming live to you with another Forever Friends Academy live episode. How are you guys doing? I hope you had a wonderful week so far. Let me introduce myself just in case there are some newcomers in the building, which I would absolutely love. And I see DJ Howie in the building already. Thank you for popping in. Again, my name is Sharla Kornegay. I'm the author, creative Interact Coaching, and Forever Friends Academy, and a recording artist. This is my show, Forever Friends Academy, where we talk about all relationship topics. I started this, I don't know, I guess you can call it like a visual podcast, to basically, hopefully help people, maybe I'll put it this way, simplify the complexity of our relationships. I'm a firm believer that there are fundamental principles that godly principles that we can found and ground our relationships in. And I think our relationships are pretty much the bedrock and the most fundamental part of our life. And everything that we do when we navigate here is centered around them. So it would be advantageous for us to have as many conversations, and honestly, I think as early as possible, starting in the household, because that area of life, especially the intimate, right? For those of you who someday desire to be in a marital relationship, it changes everything, right? It can change the trajectory of your life. And when I speak to a lot of people, many of the heartaches that they experience in life are centered around, right? Relationships, whether it's a broken, failed relationship, or just learning how to navigate life, dealing with loss. So that's what I aim to do here. So hopefully you'll find something that you hear that you can resonate with. And if you do, definitely go to my Forever Friends Academy YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment, etc. Spread the word. So, topics like this, content like this can flood the internet. All right. So if you do want to check out any of my music on the stage, I go by Sharla K. Definitely. You can find me on all music platforms. I would love for you to check out the music. I think, I pray, hopefully, you'll find something that you like there. You'll find anything from slow ballads to definitely up-tempo grooves and anthems. That's kind of like my, I guess, I don't want to say it's my niche, but out of all of the things I've released so far, I think, yeah, a lot of them are like mid-tempo, up-tempo. And I do love writing anthems. So enough about me. You can check it out, and hopefully I can get some more new music. I just released a song called God's Children, which I'm really loving right now, and a lot of people are loving. Thank you for all the feedback you're giving me, and hopefully I can get you guys some more music before the year ends. So enough about me. Oh my goodness, that shows Shane. How are you? And Big E, how are you? I know Big E always convicts me. He is always like, Charlotte, sing. What you doing on here? Don't come on here unless you're gonna sing. I'm working my way back to trying to, intertwine the singing with the show. All right. So tonight is Sunday, and for those of you who are returners to my show, you know that I usually put out a scenario on Sundays. So I'm going to I usually start out with a quote. I don't think Well, yeah, I do have a question, but the question will be wrapped in the scenario. So I want to put out, oh, love you too, E. I love you. You are so supportive. So that's why every time you say sing, I feel convicted, because I'm like, he's so right. You're right on point, because I'm really trying to right now balance out, because I do want to get you guys some more music, and I do want to really get back into live performing. So I'm not mad. Keep coming on and keep saying sing, because it's going to convict me more to make sure I incorporate that. So tonight is Sunday night scenario. All right. So I'm going to start with a quote at the top of the podcast, and then I'm going to give you guys a scenario tonight, and you guys can let me know what your thoughts are. All right. So this was another week, and I'm sure if you've been to my show before, sometimes I love reading and I love learning new things. And so sometimes it's hard. It's hard out here, yeah, for me to sometimes streamline it as to which one I want to, say to you guys. But I'm going to pick one. because I literally found a lot of quotes on leadership. That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. But I'm going to pick one. So this actually is a quote from Albert Mohler, Mohler. I hope I'm saying that right. And it comes from his book, The Conviction to Lead, 25 Principles for Leadership That Matters, right? And I thought this would be a good, pertinent, topic, not only for especially if you're in America, right? The climate right now, we're in heavy dose of political season right now. We are going to be voting for a new president and leader of our country, but leadership is not only right in on those levels. Leadership definitely is something that we're going to meet and navigate through this life, whether it's dealing with leadership in an intimate relationship or dealing with leadership at your job, etc. Right? So the quote goes like this, and let me know what your thoughts are. So the quote states, "If our leaders are not passionately driven by the right beliefs, we are headed for disaster. At the same time, if believers cannot lead, we are headed nowhere." All right, so I'll say it again. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. All right, if our leaders are not passionately driven by the right beliefs, we are headed for disaster. At the same time, if believers cannot lead, we are headed nowhere. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. And, look at me trying to squeeze in. I said I was going to pick one, right? But I just think that this other part, I won't read the whole thing. I'll just read a little snippet of another one that I found that I thought it just goes so well with that. And this is, it didn't show me who I can give the flowers to and credit for saying this, but I'll just say the first line of it because I thought it was really good. It says, "A leader has the vision and conviction that a dream can be achieved." A leader has the vision and conviction that a dream can be achieved. So let me know, one, do you think there are some gems of wisdom in there? Think it's truthful? Definitely tell me if you think that's something that is a good quote or gem of wisdom that you think should be applied to relationships to help facilitate growth, right? So marinate on that. And while I let you marinate, because I want to see if I get any answers before I give you guys tonight's scenario. So hello, beautiful Maya, how are you? And you just came in, so let me read the statement one more time for you, just so if you have any thoughts on it, I can hear your thoughts. I just read a quote by Albert Mohler from his book, The Conviction to Lead. And the quote for tonight is, "If our leaders are not passionately driven by the right beliefs, we are headed for disaster. At the same time, if believers cannot lead, we are headed nowhere." All right. So one more time. If our leaders are not passionately driven by the right beliefs, we are headed for disaster. At the same time, if believers cannot lead, we are headed nowhere. All right. So that's the quote, folks. Let me know. Number one, do you think that's a truthful statement? And two, do you think it's applicable when it comes to our relationships? All right. Oh my gosh, and beautiful Dana, I got my Forever Friends Academy members in here. I'm happy about that. Y'all made my night. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. That last statement, right? That's what Maya said, that last statement. I know Maya, for sure, right? Absolutely. So I have Dana said so good and yes, right? So I have some definitely applicable in this election. Yeah, I know. That's why I brought it up, because I thought, clearly if you're in America, we're heavy in the political season. So, definitely, for sure. Thought it would be a great time to bring this up because it's not only leadership at that level, but right, we have to, or at least it would be advantageous, right, for us to deal with leadership when it comes to our intimate relationships too, and right, at work and friendships, etc. Right. So I got some good responses. I definitely think it's a truthful statement. And let me present the scenario to you guys tonight because I'm going to tie it in with the quote that I just presented you. So let me know, and this is kind of broad. It's not exactly, as I always state, I like to bring up universal, godly, fundamental principles that can be applied across the board. So the scenario that I'm going to give you guys tonight is not necessarily in an intimate setting, like marital relationship or going to be married, engaged, etc. It's more so on like a political platform, even though I don't really get into politics here. But I thought it would be a good way to kind of, dissect this topic. All right, so the scenario for tonight is, and I'm going to present it to you in a question form, right? So let's say we had an option. Those of us in America, our election season is right around the corner for the new president that we're going to elect. So let's say we have two options, right? And you have the option either to let the people, like the voting process is to let the people decide on the policies that are the most important to them, right? So instead of voting for, or maybe let me put it this way, maybe it would be two processes, right? I didn't think about how. Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. Sorry, guys, I just thought about something else. All right, so if you had the choice of, you can have one person in office, and that one person basically has to lead based on how the masses have chosen what policies are most important to them. So whether that leader it has a conviction about it or anything like that, they have to just go along with right down the ballot how the people, the majority, right, of people, because I'm sure, it'd be nice if we all can come to an agreement on the same policies, but that's not really truthful, right, or reality. But what the majority, right, of the country says, these are the most important and pertinent things, and this is how or the direction we should take these, issues and policies in, right? So that's option number one. Vote for, right, someone to lead. However, that leader is going to lead based on the majority, right, rule of the masses. Or do you think it's better, and would you rather have a leader who has certain policies and certain things that they stand on by their conviction? Which one would you rather? Would you rather option one or option two? All right, so let me say it again. Hopefully I'm not confusing y'all. Like, Sharla, what are you talking about? All right, so you have two choices, right? One is if you can have the option to vote, right, next president or whoever the leader is, state representative, et cetera, right? And would you rather have an election process where that leader that we put into office has to go by the majority of how the citizens of that country feel are the most important policies, and what direction they should be going in? Or would you rather have a leader who, the policies that they're introducing, they have conviction about it, even if you disagree with some of the policies that they have? Which one would you rather? Yeah, so think about it. Yeah, let me know what you think. You're probably like, Sharla, what did you wake up with this morning? Right? And I'm going to tell you what kind of triggered my thought to bring this to you guys, other than the fact of what I said before, that, right, clearly in America, we are in election season. And yeah, leadership is something that we, in any type of relationship dynamic, is going to be something that we are going to either reflect on. Either there's going to be strong leadership in the relationship or the circles that you're in, or maybe a lack thereof, right? And seeing how the direction of the relationship or the way that the people engage with each other, whether it's strong leadership or a lack thereof, and seeing the differences, right? But I was actually on my Forever Friends Academy. I have a subscription-based group membership where we talk about relationships, and it's offline here. It's group, but it's private, right? And so the last one that I had, I thought it was interesting because I had mostly men on there. And I had started, I don't want to call it a series, but we talked about it multiple times, where the theme of this month was talking about respect, and actually last month into this month, talking about respect in relationship and how do you demonstrate it. And so I was asking some of the men that were on there, in what way do you feel someone has best, demonstrated respect to you? And one of the things that the gentleman said on that session was, he stated for, I guess, the woman, the partner that he's with, to allow him to make a mistake. That's the way that he kind of articulated it, the way that I heard what he said, and on a part of what he said and the way that it came to me, if I could reword it a little bit, was basically wanting someone to believe in his ability to lead, other than saying it that way, right? Allow me to make a mistake, allow me to lead or pursue different things that you might not have been used to growing up, or seems to be atypical to you. Allow me to at least throw, right? Cast my net out, take my shot, take a risk, etc. And so I was just like, interesting, because I think when it comes to, oftentimes when I hear sometimes the dynamics in relationships, especially if it's people who are vetting each other to see if they could be potential spouses to one another, or people who have, right, crossed the bridge into marriage, the struggle between navigating, handling leadership and who leads and things like that. And I thought I thought about in that situation when he brought that statement up. It's like, are people more comfortable, right, with a person leading if the things that, you're doing, I already approve, So it's like, I already approve of what you're doing. So, yeah, you're a good leader. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, what you would do, I would do. So it's okay. Then, yeah, I'll gladly follow you. Whereas, if you are now paired up with someone who might, the way that you would do things are not necessarily aligned, maybe not even like the governing principles. Maybe those things are the same, but the way that the process goes or the way that it's played out might be different. So I just thought, I was like, I wonder if, from a large scale of what I presented to you tonight, which I see some new people coming in. Hey, I am Coach Joyce. How are you? Oh my goodness. GOD, how are you? Thank you for joining. All right, so we're talking about leadership, guys, and I gave a scenario in a question form. So let me know what your thoughts are for the newcomers. And I said, basically, you have two options. If you had two options, where you can elect a leader, and that leader basically has to go along with the majority vote of the citizens of their country, right? So whatever the majority has voted that these policies are the most important, you go with that that person has to, right, fully go through it, do what the citizens have stated is the most important to them? Or would you choose option two, vote for a leader, right, where they've stated their policies to you, they've stated the things that matter the most to them, and that they are going to lead with conviction, right? So I guess to best simplify it, maybe it's leadership that has to follow, right, majority rule, majority decisions of the public. Would you feel more comfortable with that? Or do you feel like in order for someone to lead in the best way, that it needs to be a leader who has conviction, and really believes in the things that they are going to put forth. So let me know what your thoughts are and what you think. Yeah, so I'm still waiting. Hopefully I didn't confuse y'all tonight. Hopefully I didn't confuse you guys. But I just thought, especially for us in America, because it's election season, I figured I'd present it to you guys in this way. But that does come up in relationships often, where you'll have couples that, I guess I'll put it in this way, maybe disagreeing points of views, or disagree in the way that, even if they agree on the fundamental idea of what needs to be done, maybe they disagree on how it plays out, right? Or the processing. And, that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, I wonder if people are more comfortable and state, that the person that they're with is a good leader, just because it's like, okay, if you do what I already approve of, then yeah, you're a good leader. Versus if you're with someone and then having to understand, and be able to harmonize and flow with the things that they are, what's the word I'm looking for, inspiring to do or motivated to do, even if you don't fully understand what that is. Is that more of true leadership? Like, can somebody really lead without having true conviction? And would we get a better, right, experience and process out of it, rather than us just saying? Because sometimes, right, when you're looking, as I always say to people when they have those lists, listen, and nothing wrong with it, right? You can do it. You can put your list down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I always say, sometimes those lists block a lot of potential people that you could actually be very good with, or it can block you from having a greater understanding of the process and learning new things, because you're just so strict and stringent on the list that you've created. Whereas if you find a person and you see this person has conviction in what they believe, and they can follow through with that, rather than it's just like, okay, this is what the rubric is, and I must just follow that, So let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, so I have some thoughts. Hopefully that's good. That means that I didn't, at least, well, I'm interpreting it that way. Hopefully my interpretation is right, that I didn't confuse all of you guys. All right, so Ajax says, and first of all, thank you guys for taking time out to type, because come on now. I really do appreciate it. All right, so Ajax says, I would say I would go with a leader who leads with conviction, because when you are a leader, you have to believe with what you're saying and why you are leading. That's a really good question. Thank you. I've been told. That's why my company is called Interask. I ask the questions that are like, bypass your mind, sometimes go in your heart. So I've been told. All right. Thank you, Antoine. Maya says, oh, it's Kale. Hey, Kale, how are you? You ain't waste. He said, you ain't waste no time stepping on toes. I love this couple. You have no idea. Maya and I were talking about how applicable this is for this election and our thoughts on it. But Dan, you got us talking real good. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Dana said what they said, okay? Echo. I believe this is Maya. I don't know if this is an extension of Kale, but it's a beautiful couple. All right, so I want the one that believes in what he does. He needs to be confident, and it's good to know what to expect with the leader regardless. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And I think, like I said, I put it in, not, as you guys know, if you come on here, I'm not talking about politics heavy like that on here, because it's really just not the what the show is about. However, because it is, we in America are in the season that we're in, I just thought it would be a great way to kind of present it, but also walk it back to how it would apply, right, in a relationship, and how sometimes that's what it is, right? Whether it's and I'll put it back into like maybe a marital situation and a wife having an issue or a hard time following the lead of her husband just because of that, right? And I brought it back to what that gentleman stated on the call that we were on the Zoom session we were on, because I think that's what he was saying in totality when he was like, well, I just want to be allowed to kind of like make a mistake, you know what I mean? And the reason why I think he stated it that way is because it's like, okay, as I'm trying to do something, if it's not done in the way that she's used to it being done, then it's like it's an interception, or it's a question, which makes in the way that it rolls back to me, kind of like doubting, me having the capability to move or do something in a different way than you're used to, and it kind of feels like, okay, I'm only a good leader if I do it in the way that you are used to or the way that you approve of. Whereas if I'm a leader who has conviction wholeheartedly in what I believe, then it's that person will live and die for what they believe, rather than if we just give something to someone and lay it out for them and they say, okay, well, yeah, we got to follow all of these things. This is what I have to do. I think there's going to be a lack of, not only because of the lack of connection and really wholehearted belief in what they're in the process of what they're doing, then sometimes the connection won't land either, right? So let me read, because I got some more things coming in. This is continuation from Maya's comment. She said, because if a king leads the people according to their wickedness, that's when God has to respond. And not in the way we like, but definitely what we need. The leader would speed up judgment on believers. If he feels that their desires rather than standing on business. Oh, right. Yeah, that's the truth. And I immediately thought about, because, guys, I love, even though sometimes I'm really bad at re-quoting them or restating them, but I always go back to scripture, right? So I automatically thought about Saul. And for those of you who might not be familiar with the Bible or the story of Saul in the New Testament, he basically was someone who was persecuting Christians, and he was convicted heavily and believed that it was the right thing that he was doing, right? And then along the way, Christ introduced himself to him. And what I mean by like just a personal relationship, right? And literally his life pivoted to now where, he makes up, his name is changed from Saul to Paul. And he now becomes one of the greatest, right? People in the Bible. He pretty much makes up almost half of the written New Testament. And now the person who persecuted Christians is now the one that God uses to go in so many different spaces and places to then profess Christ, right? But I think what's interesting about that story is that God could readily change his direction to do the right thing because of how he was so convicted. When he thought he was persecuting Christians, he thought it was the right thing to do, and he did it wholeheartedly without any kind of like resistance. And because of that, when it was time for him to turn, right, and actually embarking on the truth and actually connect to God the Father, he was able to use him in the most astronomical ways. So I bring in, you're like, Robert, like, Sharla, why are you bringing this up? Like, I get it, but I don't get it. The reason why I'm bringing it up in regards to this relationship, we talk about relationships here, and I think whether it's you in an intimate relationship or friendship or at your job place, etc., you want to be a person who is striving to be a leader who's leading with conviction, and especially if you're looking for someone else too. Like, I'll use my relationship with Ben as an example. One of the things, I didn't, as we were developing our friendship, of course, we were getting to know each other and to know the things that we both were anchored in and things that we would stand on. But of course, anyone who knows, we were both very young in Christ and young in the Lord when we met. So, of course, we're growing, you know, learning precept upon precept. And so we're gaining in our understanding. But one of the things that had me glued, and kind of like stuck to him, meaning like I knew that no matter how the needle was going to turn, whether it was we were going to be, moving and progressing towards marriage or we were just going to stay friends, I knew that I needed him to be in my circle, that's something that I wanted. And that was mainly because he exemplified and demonstrated to me that he was a person of conviction. Like whatever it was that he believed in, he was going to stick to it wholeheartedly. And so for me seeing that, I can be like, okay, I can trust your leadership because you're not just, taking on what things that people are just presenting you. And even if it was, because I'm sure all of us have experienced it, whether it's within our family circles or within our inner circle, people lean a certain way or they have a majority of opinions in a certain way, and you get to know a person and their leadership qualities or lack thereof, of how easily they're swayed depending on who they're around, right? And how their belief systems shift and change based on, the scenario and the circumstance or the environment. And so I think definitely, I know it's been one of the things that I myself had to make sure that I'm staying anchored in who I am and making sure that I would reflect and assess while I'm in certain spaces to make sure that I have due diligence of remaining, in either expressing the truth, saying the truth, and not, for lack of better words, either dimming my light or playing it. What's the word? Being politically correct or walking on eggshells, however you want to, whatever terminologies you want to use when it comes to that you want to be anchored in the truth. And definitely when it comes to especially learning each other, if anybody's going into marriage or, learning each other and seeing and vetting if you guys could be a potential spouse, there are going to be things that come up, even if you are both fundamentally are grounded in the same things. Again, the way that you might, right, demonstrate a process or the way that it unfolds might look different, So the message is that don't get fooled or feel like someone has good leadership because they, can either echo some of the same things that you are used to, Don't fall into that, because sometimes that's what will happen and that's what will cause the tug of war, because one person who's designated to be the leader, to lead in that area, does something that might be atypical, that might not be what the other person's used to, and then the other person feels like they have to interject and say, "Oh, hold up, well, shouldn't we do it this way?" I think that will prohibit more growth. Some of the greatest leaders that I have met have always been the people who lead with conviction, who lead wholeheartedly invested in the truth of what they believe, and they take you out of your comfort zone. They take you completely out of your comfort zone too. And there's really no way to get out of that comfort zone if they're just going to do things that you have been used to. That you have been used to seeing or used to doing in that same way. So I think one of the ways in a relationship to allow leadership, whether it's a wife allowing her husband to lead, is to, again, understand that he might be trying to tread a different route. He might be trying to, he might understand that he might need to take a risk right now, right? And in that leading, if that person is convicted, and most definitely if they're convicted and that conviction is also aligned in the truth and anchored in the truth, then allow that to be, as well as on the other end, right, where you have husbands and their wives are coming in to tell them something that is truthful, or tell them, that we should pivot in this way, to also, right, allow space and room for that. So that's what we're talking. Hey, Emily, how are you? How are you guys doing? Good to see you, beautiful. We've been on for a little while. I don't think I can. I gave them a scenario tonight of two options of one, whether you would like to have a leader who governs basically by the majority vote or rule of the policies that the citizens vote on, right? So doesn't matter if they believe in those policies, they in the place of authority that they have, they must go and follow through with it, because based on majority citizenship vote and rule. Or do you think it's better or best to have a leader who rules with conviction, who leads with conviction, even if you don't agree with all their policies? Do you think it's better to have a leader who leads with conviction, who without a shadow of doubt is invested in what they believe? Or would you just rather someone who can play out all of the wants and desires of the people? And we have been kind of examining whether people feel like people are good leaders based on that. Because you're a good leader because you agree and you align with the things that I want and the things that in the way that you do it, the way that you play it out. Or is it better to have a leader who is convicted in what they, in the policies that they believe in? So that's what we've been talking about. And then kind of walking it back to relationships in a more intimate space. So I like some of I like all of you guys' answers. I think unanimously, just in case, let me make sure I'm not missing anyone's answers. And let me make sure I'm not missing, because sometimes I do. Oh my goodness. How are you, lovely? Verita. I'm messing it up. But hello, love. How are you? I messed up saying that name all too much. Yeah, okay. I got all of them. At least I don't think I missed any. I really do think I went all through. Forgive me if I did. Oh my gosh, Daniel, I did. As soon as I said that. How are you, lovely? Not a comment. Well, a comment just to say hi to me. Aw. Hi, sweetheart. Thank you for coming in here, Danielle. I miss you. I appreciate you. See, I'm glad that I said that. Sometimes they slip in there and I can't see them. All right. So I got all your thoughts. I like you guys pretty much. I agree with all of you who said unanimously. Most people have said that they want a leader who leads with conviction, because that means that person can be confident, and it's good to know what to expect from the leader regardless, right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I got another one. Emily says, so are you talking about someone who sticks with their opinions no matter what, or someone who sways their opinion based on the people? Okay, well, basically, well, it wouldn't be, well, Yeah, I guess so. I guess you can put it in that term. But like I said, the way that I put it was, if you had to elect a leader, and would you like the process to be that that leader who is elected, the majority of the citizens of that country, of that nation, votes based on the policies that the majority believes are the most important and the way, right? They would like those policies to be, handled, or the direction for the nation to go in, or someone who you're voting for and they state these are their policies, these are their convictions, and they lead by that, even though you might not agree with all of them. Which one would you rather? And again, we were kind of comparing and seeing what would make the best leadership. With that process, be like, okay, this is what the majority of the people want, so this is what I'm going to have to do. Would we feel secure and just feel like that's a good leader because they have to act out and put into, right, rule, law, etc., policy, action, what the people have stated? Or would you rather go through the process of knowing who that person is for real? This is their conviction, this is their belief. And even if the policies aren't, all that you would agree with, at least they'll lead with conviction. So that's what we're talking about. She said probably someone who leads with conviction, since they stick to their views and beliefs no matter what. Yeah, so yeah, Emily believes the same too. Most of the people also believed in that way. So I agree. I agree with you guys too. Even though I was just like, it seems like it would be really good though, right? It seems like it would be a great idea to kind of just vote in majority of what the nation feels, the citizens of a nation feels is the most important, and put a leader in that place who just has to implement it, right? You would think that, at least I was thinking like, yeah, that sounds like great. But then I thought about, what true real leadership, and the ones that like really make the greatest impact. You need a person who honestly does lead with conviction, because let's just say all war breaks out, are you going to be with a person? And of course, let's just take it out of maybe not just in the context of like a presidency, but let's just take it, like maybe in a smaller, maybe in the local community, maybe someone who's the head of a business, or maybe it's just in a family situation. You want someone who will say, I will live and die for this. I will be the captain and I will go down with the ship, or I will fight to the end because I'm motivated, and the beliefs that I'm anchored in are inspiring me and fueling me. Those are the things that really inspire people. And Emily says, always vote with your values no matter what. She said, I had a debate teacher who had this quote posted in her classroom that says, what's popular isn't always right, and what's right isn't always popular. Oh my goodness, let me say that again. But that's so good, Emily. I'm going to add you to the broadcast. That's how good that is. If there was anything that I could live by, is that quote. What's popular isn't always right, and what's right isn't always popular. I think that should be the theme of my show. And my coaching approach, I always say that because I focus a lot on a lot of fundamental principles, and it goes a lot of the things, that definitely in the beginning of me, whether coming on here or starting off initially coaching, a lot of the things that I would say would be so unpopular because it wasn't used to what the people were hearing, until I started to be able to kind of like articulate it and dissect it. And the way the truth is, it kind of corners, falsehoods, and kind of like really picks apart and breaks apart opinions. And not until I could like prove over and over again doing that, as I would conversate to people, then they were like, okay, wow, yeah, I understand that. But oftentimes when it would first come, it would be like, whoa, like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So I so appreciate that quote. That is very true. That is very true, Emily. Very true. I know. Thank you. I appreciate. I've been on for a while now, though. You're right. I took a hiatus. I took a hiatus from it for a little bit, but I've been on for a while now. For at least, I think I started coming back on live last. Somebody said they haven't seen me in a while. December of last year, I started doing it. So I've been on for a while now. Yeah, almost a full year. So I appreciate you. I'm glad you got the notification and you were able to kind of pop in tonight. I appreciate you. So yeah, I agree with you, Emily. I agree with that quote heavily. And I think that's something, that we want to keep in our relationships, because again, you can literally have some of the same beliefs, fundamental principles, that you both agree on. But again, right, whether it's due to just symbol, gender, you know what I mean, in a relationship, like how women do things versus how men, and I know people don't like to get into that, like, oh no, I'm not with, it's just not true. Like women do things differently from men. That's the whole point of a team. It's not for each part of the team to do everything exactly the same, right? And in talking about things like this, right, or leading with conviction or being anchored in your beliefs and knowing that when someone leads, that they will take you out your comfort zone, or they will stretch you, or they will make you think in different ways and stretch your capacity, then it's helpful, because then you don't necessarily every minute, kind of want to micromanage or control the way that the leader is trying to navigate, just because it is not a way that you're used to, you know? So I think it's really important for relationships, because I see where that comes up all the time, and definitely in marriages, and definitely in, intimate relationships. So, thank you, Ajax. Oh, I appreciate it. He says, I always enjoy the topics and discussions. I'm so glad that y'all do. I'm glad that y'all do that. That's one of my, that's what I want. So thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. So, yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate all of you guys. Solid points. I think we all agree on that one. And I think definitely when I was thinking about that situation, as again I said, it seemed like that would be the most ideal scenario, right? I mean, of course, some people, because majority is not everybody, right, who would agree that these certain policies are right, and it's right to be able to have them unfold in this way, or have them govern our country and our nation in this way. But it would seem that, okay, at least that is the best way for the people to get heard, and then just have this person just enact them, but then it's like, you rob that person of actually being able to step into a place of authentic leadership in doing that. And so that's why I think it's very applicable to relationships, and why I thought about it when that gentleman on my private group coaching said that, like, one of the best ways that someone can demonstrate respect to me is to just allow me to make a mistake and allow me to lead. Even if it's not what you are used to, don't just come and impress your, opinion and belief on me or not. And, I want you to basically be able to believe and have faith in my leadership, even if that leadership does not look the way that you're used to. So I appreciate you guys, because the people who come on here with me, for sure, I'm sure there's been plenty of things that you've heard me present here where it's like, what? And you all gave me a chance, so I appreciate it. Like, oh, let me see what Charlotte's saying. And whether you were like, okay, well, but you know what she said makes a lot of sense. Like I can't deny that. That's truth. So I appreciate it, and I think that's what we want as people. But definitely, you want someone who's leading with conviction. You want someone who is authentic in the things that they believe, because at least you know what you're getting, you know? At least you know what you're getting. It's not a false representation that they're showing you. So, yeah. Hey, Justin, how are you for popping in? We've been on for a little while. So we've been pretty knee deep in the conversation, but I appreciate you for popping in. So yeah, that's what I want to present to you guys tonight. That was my scenario, I guess, right in tandem with the political season that we're in. But I hopefully, in the way that we talked about it, in the way that we discussed it, you guys can kind of see how it can be applicable to the relationships that we keep, right, out on an intimate level. So let me know your thoughts, if you have any more thoughts, and let me know if you guys have any questions, because that was literally the scenario I had for you guys tonight. We kind of just, well, I've been on for almost an hour now, but nonetheless, I feel like we went through it very quickly. I think most people had their statements and what they believed to be true, was able to kind of express that in a quick way early on. So I'm gonna leave room, as I normatively do, if you guys have any questions near the end of the broadcast that you want to present to me. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. But outside of that, I will be back on Thursday evening with another topic for you guys. So I'll let that marinate just in case there's some questions. If you were someone new on tonight, or if you are someone who has returned but has not subscribed yet to my Forever Friends Academy YouTube channel, please do so. Subscribe, like, comment, share, so that it can, spread this content all over the internet. So I appreciate you guys. So let me know if there are any questions that you have. And if not, then we are going to hop off. And hopefully you guys have a nice, restful, wonderful night. Until next time. Okay? Nope, I don't see any questions yet. I see some have a great night and good night. So, all right. So I think it's time to close. So I appreciate all of you. So appreciate. Thank you for taking out the time to pop on the show, all the time you take to type. I so appreciate, and to engage with me. There is no show without you. So I appreciate you. I will be on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell a friend. All right. I will see you guys next time. And always remember to live to love freely. Bye.